This is Mac OS Ken.
Analysts are stoked for iPhone and AI. iMessage can keep its blue bubbles to itself in the EU, and another round of OS betas makes the scene. Happy Valentine's Day, my pretties. It is Wednesday, the 14th of February, 2024. Don't blush. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. From the people who brought you PIN numbers and ATM machines, Evercore analyst Amit Daryanani thinks iPhone could be a perfect home for large LLMs. One of those L's stands for large, you see. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note Daryanani wrote that has him 100% buying the idea of Edge AI, or artificial intelligence that runs on device, the position that Apple is in to capitalize, looking good as far as he's concerned, and the surge in iPhone sales that could create. Currently, the analyst says people are holding on to their iPhones for about 44 months, but there is practically no way a 3.5-year-old iPhone is going to be able to pull off the kinds of things he thinks Apple's Virtual Assistant 2.0 will be able to do, hence the upgrades. Outside of the Virtual Assistant, Daryanani says he and his also think that an LLM-enhanced iOS can add significant functionality to iPhone users via small improvements in day-to-day use cases, such as predictive text, automated scheduling, and visual search, and new use cases will continue to be developed, although they will take some time. He thinks the ability to run large LLMs on the host device will broaden the moat around Apple's ecosystem. Mr. Daryanani has an outperform rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $220. Thinking and saying along a similar line as Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives. Apple Insider caught the most bullish of Apple bulls on CNBC Squawk on the Street on Monday. Near term, he says iPhone is doing well. In fact, the piece says Ives insists that iPhone demand has stabilized in China and is possibly increasing in the country. Crucially, when Ives looks at the supply chain checks, he claims that there are not major cuts in the pipeline. Further out, Ives sees several possibilities for Apple and AI. They include an AI app store, as well as large language models, or LLMs, for the next round of iPhones. Like Daryanani, the piece says Ives believes there will be an increase in memory used on devices to help with on-device AI processing. The way he sees it, Apple stock is performing well this quarter because investors see the AI revolution is now coming to Cupertino. He does have a way, doesn't he? Looking for Apple to hit a $4 trillion valuation within a year, Mr. Ives has an outperform rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $250. iMessage can keep its blue bubbles to itself in the European Union. A report from TechCrunch says the European Commission has sided with Apple and Microsoft on a few issues it had been considering. According to the report, both have been deemed gatekeepers for a total of 5 core platform services. The 5 that fall under the Digital Markets Act are iOS, the App Store, and Mobile Safari for Apple, as well as the Windows operating system, and LinkedIn for Microsoft. On top of those services, the EC was considering others for the two companies. Microsoft's Bing search engine, its Edge web browser, and the online ad service Microsoft Advertising were being eyed for tighter control, as was Apple's iMessage. Each would have fallen under DMA rules had the European Commission deemed them core platform services. On these, though, they have not. According to TechCrunch, the Digital Markets Act sets a usage bar of 45 million plus monthly active users and 10,000 business users for service designation, and Apple and Microsoft had claimed that the services in question were insufficiently popular, including, in the case of Apple, claiming business users of iMessage are actually using a separate product. Kind of makes sense, since iPhone users can use a lot of services to send messages. That is a point that Apple drove home in its response to the ruling. In a statement, Apple said, "We thank the Commission for agreeing with us that iMessage should not be designated under the DMA. iMessage is a great service that Apple users love because it provides an easy way to communicate with friends and family while offering industry-leading privacy and security protections. Consumers today have access to a wide variety of messaging apps and often use many at once, which reflects how easy it is to switch between them." Probably not going to put that in their ads, though. The big ball of OS betas rolls on. A few pieces from Mac Rumors say Apple on Tuesday released the third betas of iOS and iPadOS 17.4 to developers, along with the third developer betas of macOS Sonoma 14.4, watchOS 10.4, and tvOS 17.4. Now, there may be another secret HomePod hint in the latest tvOS beta. The piece from Mac Rumors says code in yesterday's developer release reveals the existence of a new device identified as Z314, capable of running the operating system. From what it's seen, the site says the unreleased Z314 device is powered by an A15 Bionic chip. Code reveals that there are internal development and also production versions of this device under test, which suggests that it may have reached an advanced stage of development. The report says the beta also adds Swift UI frameworks, as well as a system tool used to debug unresponsive UI in iOS apps. The way 9to5Mac sees it, all of that points to the oft-rumored HomePod with a screen. Otherwise, the site says, there's no reason for Apple to add such features to the HomePod system. If such a product does exist, one of the people who may have had a hand in designing it is hitting the highway. In a piece that reeks of gloom and doom, Bloomberg says Bart Andre, Apple's longest-serving designer, is leaving the company. Retiring, he is, having joined Apple in 1992. That is roughly 4 years before Steve Jobs returned to Apple. According to Bloomberg, Andre told colleagues this month that he's retiring, according to people familiar with the matter. Andre was one of the last remaining designers from the Ive era and helped create the aesthetic for Apple products released over the past 3 decades. Looking back toward software now, there was one other beta seeded to developers on Tuesday. A piece from Mac Rumors says members of the program got access to the second beta of visionOS 1.1. New features include the ability to reset the device if a user forgets the passcode, already added this week with the release of visionOS 1.0.3, support for iMessage contact key verification, and support for Apple device management. Now, developers who want to get in early on making an app for Apple Vision Pro may need to pick up the pace. A few days before the device came out, unofficial counts put the number of apps built for Apple's headset at about 150. On the day the device launched, Apple touted over 600 apps for Apple Vision Pro. Now Apple Insider has the company saying that number has crested 1,000. Apple Senior VP of Marketing Greg Joswick posted Tuesday, "A huge thank you to our developers. Their hard work has already resulted in over 1,000 incredible spatial apps designed specifically for Vision Pro, along with over 1.5 million compatible apps. We're thrilled to see how they'll continue to push the boundaries for what's possible." Potentially problematic news for Peloton people. iDownload blog says the fitness line is dropping support for Apple GymKit. According to the piece, the company shared the news in a 14th of February email saying it'll start transitioning Apple Watch users from GymKit to Peloton one-tap tracking on the 27th. iDownload blog goes on to say that Apple Watch owners should not be concerned because both GymKit and Peloton's one-tap app write data to Apple's Health app. The piece does not address Peloton's data privacy policy. Like whether it has one. Might be something to look into as this move is made for you. Some day of stuff about which to remind you. First, as mentioned at the top of the show, my pretties, it is Valentine's Day. If you were expected to remember that, be sure to remember that. Second, there is an Apple Watch activity challenge set for today. February is Heart Month. As it has done in the past, Mac Rumor says Apple is challenging wearers of its watch to get out and be heart healthy. Or stay in. Close your exercise ring today is the point. Do that and you will get lots of cash and big prizes. That is, of course, not true. What you actually get is a virtual medallion and animated stickers to stick in iMessage and other applications. Also, you get the health benefits, but really, do it for the stickers. Third, a much-anticipated series starts its run on Apple TV Plus today. Inspired by true events, Apple says the new look tells the story of how fashion designers Christian Dior, Coco Chanel, and their contemporaries navigated the horrors of World War II and launched modern fashion. Stars include Ben Mendelsohn, Juliette Binoche, Maisie Williams, and John Malkovich. The first 3 episodes of the 10-episode series are streaming now on Apple TV+. And finally today, if you're less about the fashion and more about the fear and the fighting and the creatures from outer space, good news. Apple TV Plus issued a press release Tuesday giving a 3rd season of the sci-fi drama Invasion the green light. The streamer says the series follows an alien invasion through different perspectives around the world. Show creator and executive producer Simon Kinberg is quoted in the release saying, "This new season will continue to build on the scale, stakes, and propulsion of the invasion, while keeping our characters front and center, bringing them together in ways that will hopefully surprise and most importantly move our audience, who have been so incredibly supportive and inspiring since day one." Production on Season 3 is set to start later this month, according to the company. No word yet on when it will premiere. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.